Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagvani. I am Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science, Aryabhat College, University of Delhi. So in this today's lecture, we are going to wrap up our topic of hashing, and in hashing till this point we have covered the basic concept what actually hashing is. Then we have looked into various hashing functions. Then we understood what actually collision is, and we have also studied various collision resolution techniques. So the topic which we are going to cover today is about deleting the keys or deleting the records from a hash table. Now, how this deleting of keys or deleting of records from hash table is going to be very important, because this comes with two considerations. First is the deleting a record must not hinder the later searches. In other words, search puzzles must still pass through the newly emptied slots to reach the records whose probe sequence passed through this slot. What does it mean? I'll explain in a while. So, we can say the deletion process should not simply mark the slot as empty, or it should not kind of just delete the element, because if there are keys which are further down the probe sequence, they will not be there will be a problem in looking for those keys. Also, we do not want, the second important thing or second important consideration is, we do not want to make positions in the hash table unusable because of deletion. The freed slot should be available to further insertion. So, for when we are deleting, we need to be very careful that it should not hinder on the probes, probe down which are already available there, and also the slot which is getting freed should be kind of available to the future insertion. So, whenever an element is to be deleted, let us try to calculate, or let us try to run down the whole process. The hash code of the key which is being passed to the delete function is calculated, and that hash code is corresponding to that hash code, the index should be located, and the index which is using that hash code as the position in the array. Now we can use linear probing to get the element ahead if an element is not found at the computed hash code, and when found we can store a dummy item there to keep the performance of the hash table intact. Now let us see, or let us assume that the method available for collision resolution is the chaining. Now what is happening? Deleting an element leads to the deletion of the node from a linked list holding the element. In separate chaining, we are maintaining the linked list of the collided nodes, and in this separate chaining, if we are going to delete an element, this will lead to the deletion of node from a particular linked list. But for the other methods, for example, if we are talking about linear probing, or we are talking about maybe quadratic probing, if there is a deletion operation, this requires actually a careful treatment in other collision resolution techniques, unless we are talking about a perfect hash function. So, perfect hash function, I am assuming that doesn't exist as of now for us. So, that deletion operation, see, in case of chaining, this is fine, you are just removing one particular node from your linked list. But if we talk about your the collision resolution technique is linear probing or quadratic probing, deletion operation has to be very careful. Now what and where is the problem? So let us see this figure. So we have this figure. First operation is of insertion, and we have inserted the elements A1, A2, then there is B1. Now B1 is inserted at position number 3, A4 is inserted in its own slot, which is 4, and B4 is inserted in B5. So, we have B4 and we have B1, which are colliding keys. B1 is colliding with A1, B4 is colliding with A4, and the collision resolution technique which is being adopted is your linear probing. So, A1 when collided, so B1 when collided with A1 is going to get the position number 3, which is the next available slot as instructed by linear probing. Similarly, B4 is going to get the slot number 5, which is the next available position of the slot number 4, A4. Now, let us say we are deleting A4, and in the next figure, if you can see in the next hash table, which is shown as the figure B, that A4 is being deleted. Now, let us say in the next position we are deleting A2. So, we can delete A2 as well. Now, A1 is remaining, B1 is remaining, and here B4 is remaining. And now, let us say there is a search for B4. So, as far as hash code, computation of hash code is concerned, that B4 should be at the slot 4. Now, the search techniques look for that key at the slot number 4. That key is not available because of the by the virtue of linear probing, this key is available at position number 5, this key is not available at position number 4. Then in this situation, despite of having this B4 element in the table, the search will turn up as an unsuccessful search. So, that is the problem. If there is linear probing and we are we can say deleting the first element, so somehow it should that is what I was saying, that it should not hinder the probes down. Here in this example, if we are looking for B4, deletion of A4 which has happened at the second figure, that is going to hinder the looking of B4. Now, that is the that is going to hinder the search of B4 because of this linear probing technique. So, that is why if it would have been a separate chaining, there is just looking into that chain is something which is required, although that is a costly operation in case of a linked list, but that can be we can say improvised by using self-organizing linked list or maintaining an ordered linked list. But in case of linear probing, if we talk about, then it is going to give us a problem because it will hinder the searches of the probes which are available. And this situation is also same for the other open addressing methods. It is just not only for the linear probing, it could be this situation could also can also arrive with your other open addressing methods. For example, we talk about this quadratic probing and so on and so forth. Now, the point is, and even bucket addressing, if not maintained very carefully, this may lead to some unsuccessful searches despite of having the element available in your hash table. So, now that is why I was saying that deletion operation actually requires we can say a careful technique to be implemented. Now, how can we come across, or how can we combat this situation? One idea is we can leave the deleted keys in the table. If we are leaving the deleted keys in the table, we need to put some kind of a mark indicating that they are not valid elements of the table, and any subsequent search for an element will obviously does not terminate prematurely as it as it was the case in the last example. So, one idea could be you can put the markers indicating the deleted keys that these are not the we can say valid elements of the table, or these are the deleted elements. when a new key is to be inserted, which was the second consideration when we started with deletion operation, the second consideration was whatever the deleted space is, that deleted space should be kind of reclaimed at the time of insertion. So, when we are marking these deleted elements with a mark, with a special kind of mark, whenever there is a new key which is to be inserted, it can overwrite that key because there is a mark, and we can understand, or the system can understand, that the key is actually a space filler. It is not the actual key, it is not the valid element, it is already a deleted element because of that availability of that mark. So, fine, that could be kind of, we can say, one idea. But for a large number of deletions and a small number of additional insertions, the table becomes overloaded with deleted record. There are so many deleted records which are not reclaimed completely. In this situation, the search time will be increased because the open addressing method requires testing the deleted elements also. So, 2 is deleted, 3 is deleted, 4 is deleted, and we are looking for 5 by the virtue of linear probing. Then we can say in order to reach onto that element 5, that 2 has to be checked, 3 has to be checked, and 4 also has to be checked, because open addressing requires testing the deleted elements also. Now, that is also a problem in some of the, we can say, certain cases. So, in order to we can say look into this, the table should be purged after certain number of deletions by moving undeleted elements to the cells occupied by the deleted elements. So, that means some kind of purging, or some kind of we can say shuffling should take place, and cells with the deleted elements that are not overwritten by this procedure are marked as free. So, it is not only the deletion of the keys. Deletion has to be careful, but after a certain point of time, the kind of the process of purging of the table after a certain number of deletions is also to be kind of implemented. Now, here till this point we have seen when we insert an element, there could be a slot which is free, or there cannot be a slot which is there cannot be a free slot. Then in this situation a collision can occur, and then after that collision we have seen so many collision resolution techniques. We have also seen the what we can say deletion operations. So, two consideration in deletion operation we have seen is one is the the freed elements should be, the freed slots should be reclaimed, and your deletion of any of the elements should not hinder the next searches. So, we have seen insertion, we have seen deletion, and within this insertion and deletion, obviously searching is something which is kind of inbuilt. Now, please recall when we were talking about our hash functions. So, we have seen various hash functions, which is modulo division, then we have med square function, and so many functions. So, all the cases discussed till this point, we have assumed that body of the data is not precisely known. That means we actually do not know what kind of data we are going to insert into the hash table, what kind of keys are they. So, the hash function only rarely turned out to be an ideal hash function, in the sense that it immediately hashed a key to its proper position and avoided any collision. So, when we talk about an ideal hash function, that an ideal hash function is which immediately hashes a key to its proper position, and also collisions are to be avoided. So, when we have the data about which we do not know much, that means body of the data is not precisely known, the hash function will not turn out to be ideal, or we can say hash function will only rarely turn out to be the ideal one. And in most of the cases, some collision resolution technique has to be included. Why collision resolution has to be included? Because collision are kind of we can say ideal hash function is not there, that means collision will be there, and whenever there is a collision we need to kind of taken into the picture all those collision resolution techniques of chaining and open addressing and so on and so forth. Because if the hash function is not ideal, sooner or later a key would arrive that will conflict with another key in the table. You can delay that situation if your hash function is kind of we can say sophisticated, or your hash function is good, we can say. You can delay that situation, but sooner or later that situation will come that a key would arrive that conflicted with the another key in the table, or simply we can say the collision situation will definitely come up. Also, in case of hash tables or in case of hashing, we have observed one more situation which says number of keys is rarely known in advance. So, what is the effect of this information which is not available in advance, which is nothing but the number of keys? So, the table had to be large enough to accommodate all the arriving data. We need to spare a large amount of space, because we actually do not know how much exact space is required, because number of keys is rarely known. Now, this table size and the hash function, or computation of that hash or creation of that hash function, these are the two factors which contributes to the number of collision. Because if we say there is a sophisticated hash function, lesser number of collisions will be there. If there is a kind of simple hash function, non sophisticated or non computationally intensive, then it is going to be a larger number of collisions. Similarly, when we talk about table size, the table size contributed to the number of collisions in the manner that a larger table has a smaller number of collisions, provided your hash function is kind of good. All these problems of collision, relating that collision to the table size and the hash function, all these are actually caused because of the simple fact that body of the data has to be hashed in the table and was not precisely known ahead of the time. So, what are we going to do even if we have a hash function, or even if we have a situation in which the body of the data to be hashed is precisely known, or we can say well in advance. So, how it is going to contribute. So, by knowing the body of the data well in advance, a hash function was first devised, and then the data were processed, because you know your data very well. And in many situations, however, the body of the data is fixed. We actually have those situations in which we have fixed body of the data, and a hash function can be devised after the data is known. So, no, I am not talking about the data coming, huge data coming on the fly, and that data whose kind of structure or body is not known. I am assuming the data which is there is kind of, the body of the data is fixed, and before devising the hash function, the data is actually known. So, what will happen? We know the data. After knowing the data, we are able to determine the table size, and we can actually we can say devise a sophisticated hash function which can really be a perfect hash function if it hashes items on the first attempt. Then there is kind of we can say no collision or something of that sort. In addition, we can say that your first thing is your item is to be hashed in the first attempt. That means you need not to kind of, we can say, you need not to factorize the collision thing. In addition, if such a function requires only as many cells in the table as the number of data, there are no empty cell remains after hashing is complete, and this is called as a minimal perfect hash function. So, a minimal perfect hash function is a function which requires only as many cells in the table as the number of data. So, no empty cell remains after after we complete the hashing. But the important thing here is whole body of the data is to be known before you devise a hash function. What this minimal perfect hash function is going to give us, then we will not, we won't require wasting our time for collision resolution, because there is no collision. We need not to waste the space for unused table cells, because I have just told you that minimal perfect hash function will occupy all the cells of the table, and wasting a space for the unused table cells is actually avoided if we talk about a minimal perfect hash function. Now, the question comes up, processing data which is having a fixed body, is it actually a situation which is encountered in the real life applications? So, yes, we can say processing a fixed body of data is not an uncommon situation. So, for example, let us take a university database which is or maybe the database of a testing agency. Let us take the example of any test which is going to give admission to students in all the universities. So, one common test for all the universities I am taking about. So, all those enrollment numbers, all those roll numbers, that those are generated at the time of, let us say, the student is going to fill the form. So, we have a data which is running in lakhs, and we have that data body is already fixed. So, on the basis, if that roll number is to be hashed into a table, all those roll numbers, all those form numbers, even we can say, are fixed. Now, the application form is closed. So, let us say x number of x number of application numbers are to be hashed, but we know that we are going to maintain this hash table, because this will be repeatedly used. There will be so many number of searches and so on and so forth. So, that means in this type of situations we have a fixed body of data. Even one another example of fixed body of data is, we always say that those assemblers and compilers, they use this hashing thing. So, a table of reserved words. So, reserved word in any of the languages are fixed. This table of reserved word can be used by assemblers or compilers. That table of reserved word can serve as the fixed body of data, and that can be maintained with the help of a minimal perfect hash function. Apart from that, files on the erasable optical disk, then we have dictionaries, then we have lexical databases, and one more example of that university admission scenario I have given you. So, basically the point is that processing a fixed body of data is not a situation which is uncommon, and we are not going to encounter it. That is perfectly kind of a possible situation. Now, algorithms for choosing a perfect hash function usually require very kind of computational intensive things, or very tedious work, due to the fact perfect hash functions are actually very rare. We have just seen the example of a minimal perfect hash function. In a minimal perfect hash function, that table is kind of we can say completely occupied, but the situation in the perfect hash function can be different, and here that restriction cannot be imposed, and we need to choose a perfect hash function. And algorithm for creating of those hash function or for choosing of those hash function usually requires an intense task, because these hash functions are not very common. Then this could be, as already indicated, we can say for 50 elements and 100 cell array, only one function in 1 million is going to be a perfect hash function. I am repeating the data here. For 50 elements and a 100 cell array, which is actually double of the elements which are to be occupied, only one hash function in 1 million is going to be perfect. All other functions will lead to collision. So, this is the kind of we can say rarity of these perfect hash functions. Now, the question comes up, do we really have any algorithms to construct the minimal perfect hash functions or perfect hash functions? Yes, there are some algorithms that can construct the perfect hash functions knowing the body of the data. I am giving you the examples. One is Chechely's method, another one is the FHCD algorithm. These two algorithms are actually well known for construction of a minimal perfect hash function, but the details of these algorithms are actually out of the scope of this particular course. So, we are just just for the sake of our awareness, we should be aware that yes, there are two kind of algorithms which are there to construct a minimal perfect hash function. So, in this lecture we have considered the deletion, what are the considerations when we delete some data from the hash table, and then we looked into the minimal perfect hash functions, their examples, their rarity, and some of the names of the algorithms which are used for the creation of minimal perfect hash function. Here is a list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I will see you in the next. Till then, take care. Goodbye.